Today in class, we began our unit on decimals. We first discussed how a decimal represents part of one whole. The whole that we use can be different depending on the problem. For example, in this case, if I use a big 1,000s cube as my one whole, then we discussed that the hundreds piece would represent 1/10 of the thousands cube, because 10 of these pieces need to be put together in order to equal one of these. With that same idea in mind, we also discussed that if still the large 1,000s cube is our one whole, and this piece becomes our 1/10, this piece then represents 1/100th of the 1,000s cube, because it would take 10 of these long pieces to equal up to 1/100th, and it would take 100 of those to equal the thousands. In whole numbers, we talked about being 2 jumps away, being 100, and because we are 2 jumps away, this piece is 1/100th of the 1,000 cube. Still keeping in mind that the 1,000 cube is our one whole, we then can look at the small piece here, the unit piece, and this piece is 1/10 of the blue rod, because 10 of these fit into one of these. It is also 1/100th of the hundreds grid, because it takes 100 of these pieces to equal this. Notice again, we have our 2 jumps representing 100 because it has 2 zeros. This piece represents 1/1000th of the 1,000 cube, or our one whole, because it takes 1,000 of these to equal this. And again, if we look at our jumps, it takes 1, 2, 3 jumps, meaning that I need 3 zeros, or 1,000. So this piece is 1/1000th of the whole. This piece is 1/100th of the whole. And this piece is 1/10 of the whole. If we represented the one whole with just our 100s grid, then the long piece would represent 1/10, because again, it is 1/10 of this piece. And this piece would represent 1/100th, because 100 of them fit in to here. We're going to take those pieces and we're going to look at the examples from class. And we're looking at the number 4 and 24/100ths. In the first row where it has the value, we wrote in 4, or that's the same as 4 ones. Where the 2 is in the tenths place, we wrote that that's equal to 2/10, or 0.2, or 2/10 in words. And the 4 is in the hundreds place, so it would be 0.04, representing 4/100ths. In this particular case, we use the 100s grids to represent one whole, meaning that I would use the long pieces to represent tenths, and the cubes, or the small cubes, to represent the hundreds. Okay. Again, showing that there are 100 of these in the one whole, and there are 10 of these pieces in the one whole. Looking down into the compare, we have that 4 times 1, because it's one whole, that's that column. Then this one represents 2 times 1/10, because we have 2 pieces representing 1/10, or 2 of the 1/10 pieces. And here we have 4 times 1/100th, because we have 4 out of the 100 pieces needed, or 4 of the 1/100th pieces. We talked today about expanded form using multiplication, and this row here is actually the expanded form using multiplication for the decimal number 4 and 24 hundredths. And all the students really have to do is put in addition sign. So it's 4 times 1 plus 2 times 1/10 plus 4 times 1/100th. When we look at the explain column or row, the 4 in the hundreds place is 100 times smaller, or 1/100th of the 4 in the ones places. This idea is the same as it was with whole numbers. Each jump that I make, the number on the right is 1/10 of the number on the left, or 10 times smaller. So when I make 2 jumps, so when I jump from here to here, I see that it is 100 because of the 2 zeros. So the 4 in the hundreds place is 1/100th of the 4 in the ones place. Let's try another one. Let's look at the number 2 and 52. Sorry, let me trade that out. Let's do 5 and 22 hundredths. So the value of this 5 is just 5, or it is 5 ones. The value of this 2 is 2/10, or in words, 2/10. The value of this 2 is 0.02, or 2 hundredths, and in words, 2 hundredths. Again, I'm going to use the hundreds grid as my one whole. So I'm going to draw 5 100ths grids, or 100ths pieces. I need to draw 2 tenths, and I'm drawing the longs here because remember, each of these pieces is 1/10 of the hundredths. And I need to draw 2 of the hundredths. Again, these pieces are 1/10 of this one, or 1/100th of the whole. In the compare row, students should be writing 5 times 1 because we are in the ones place, or we are at the whole number. In this box, students should write 2 times 1/10 because we have 2 of the 1/10 pieces. And in this box, they should write 2 times 1/100th. When we compare, we get to the explain box. We're comparing the digits that are the same, so we're going to compare the 2 in the tenths place to the 2 in the hundredths place. And we spent a lot of time with whole numbers and today in class talking about the jumps, and the number of jumps we make determines the number of zeros in our power of 10. And because I'm only making one jump, there should be 1 0, indicating that 1 2 is 10 times the other. So when I look at this, the 2 in the hundreds place is 1/10 of the 2 in the tenths place. Or the 2 in the tenths place is 10 times larger than the 2 in the hundreds place. Students have a couple more practices that they can do, and we'll be doing an in-class assignment next week.